The diamond pressed into Zara's palm was still warm from his body when she realized Marcus had been lying the entire time. 6 months of stolen kisses in Johannesburg hotel rooms, 6 months of promises whispered against her neck, 6 months of falling for a man who was supposed to be dead. Now he stood in her bedroom doorway, shirt half unbuttoned, that devastating smile playing at his lips, while 3 armed men surrounded her apartment building below. The diamond in her hand wasn't a gift. It was evidence. And Marcus wasn't a businessman. He was the most wanted arms dealer in Africa. Zara Okonkwo was done with men. Completely, utterly finished. She'd flown to Cape Town to pitch her tech startup to investors, not to get distracted by broad shoulders and dangerous smiles. But when her laptop bag split open at the baggage claim, spilling her entire life across the polished floor, a pair of expensive leather shoes appeared in her line of vision. "Let me help you with that." His voice was deep, with an accent she couldn't quite place. British boarding school layered over something African, something familiar. She looked up. God, he was beautiful. Tall, dark-skinned, with sharp cheekbones and eyes that seemed to see straight through her airport exhaustion into something deeper. He was already kneeling, gathering her scattered papers with long, careful fingers. "I've got it," she said, more sharply than she intended. "I'm sure you do." He handed her a stack of documents, his fingers brushing hers. "But I'm offering anyway." There was something in his smile, playful but edged with something else. Challenge, maybe, or recognition, like he knew exactly what she was thinking before she thought it. "Marcus Dubois," he said, extending his hand once everything was gathered. "Zara." She didn't give her last name, didn't want to. "Just Zara?" His eyebrow lifted, amused. "For now?" They ended up sharing a taxi into the city, then coffee at her hotel, then dinner that stretched past midnight, conversation flowing like they'd known each other for years instead of hours. He was a consultant, he said, working in import-export across southern Africa. She was a software engineer building payment platforms for small businesses across West Africa. "So you're changing the world," he said, leaning back in his chair, studying her with an intensity that made her skin warm. "Trying to," she met his gaze. "What are you doing? Besides being deliberately vague about your job?" He laughed, a real laugh that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Maybe I like being mysterious. Maybe I don't like liars." Something flickered across his face, too quick to read, then that smile again. "Then I'll have to be very careful around you, Zara." When he kissed her goodnight at her hotel room door, it was gentle. Testing. His hand cupped her jaw like she was something precious, and when he pulled back, his thumb traced her bottom lip. "I'd like to see you again," he murmured. "I'm here for 2 weeks. Then I'll make them count." Marcus made good on his promise. He showed up at her investor pitch with coffee and a pastry, somehow knowing exactly what she'd need. He took her to restaurants tucked into Cape Town's hidden corners, places tourists never found. He listened when she talked about her work, asking questions that proved he actually understood the technical details, and he touched her like he was memorizing her. The first time they slept together was in her hotel room after a wine tasting in Stellenbosch. They'd been dancing around it for days, charged glances, hands that lingered too long, conversations that felt like foreplay. When she finally pulled him into her room, his control shattered. He pressed her against the door, his mouth hot and demanding on hers, hands sliding under her dress with practiced confidence. She gasped when his fingers found bare skin and he groaned against her throat. "I've wanted this since the airport," he breathed, dropping to his knees, "since I saw you trying to hold your world together with sheer will." What he did next made her forget her own name. Afterward, tangled in hotel sheets, he traced the curve of her spine with his fingertips. "Tell me something true, Zara." "Like what?" "Anything, something no one else knows." She thought about it. "I'm terrified I'll fail, that I'll go back to Lagos with nothing and everyone will say they knew I couldn't do it." His hand stilled. Then he kissed her shoulder. "You won't fail. You're too stubborn. You don't know that. I know you." His voice was quiet, certain. "I see you." It should have felt too soon for words like that. Instead, it felt like relief. She should have noticed the signs earlier, the way he never talked about his family, how he'd disappear for days with vague explanations about business in Mozambique or meetings in Gaborone. The expensive watch that appeared on his wrist one week, gone the next. The phone calls he always took in another room, his voice dropping to a murmur she couldn't quite hear. But she was too caught up in the way he made her feel, seen, wanted, understood in ways she'd never experienced before. Then came the first real crack. They were having dinner at his apartment in Sea Point, a sleek modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. She'd excused herself to use the bathroom and gotten turned around in the hallway. When she opened what she thought was the bathroom door, she found an office instead. And in that office, spread across a desk, were photographs, weapons, shipping containers, men in military uniforms, and paperwork with letterheads from companies she recognized, mining corporations, logistics firms, government contractors. Zara! His voice behind her made her jump. She spun around, heart hammering. I was looking for the bathroom. That's my work. He moved past her, calmly gathering the papers. Boring logistics stuff. Those are guns, Marcus. Security? Consulting. He said it so smoothly, so easily. I told you I work in import-export. Sometimes that includes security equipment for mining operations. It sounded reasonable. It sounded like truth. She wanted it to be truth. You could have just said that. He pulled her close, tipping her chin up. I don't like talking about work. Not with you. You're the one part of my life that's just mine. When he kissed her, she let herself believe him. Zara's pitch succeeded. She secured funding and decided to stay in South Africa to build her regional operations. Marcus was delighted and suddenly more present. He helped her find an apartment in Johannesburg, introduced her to business contacts who turned out to be valuable connections, showed up at her office with lunch when she was working 16-hour days. You're going to burn out, he said one evening, finding her still at her desk at 9 p.m. I'm building something. I know, but you have to sleep sometime. He pulled her to her feet, hands firm on her waist. Come home with me. I have work. It'll be there tomorrow. His mouth found the sensitive spot below her ear. I won't. She went home with him. In his bed, with the Johannesburg lights glittering beyond the windows, he made love to her slowly, reverently. Afterward, he held her against his chest, fingers tracing absent patterns on her skin. Move in with me, he murmured. She lifted her head. What? I'm serious. You're barely sleeping in that apartment anyway. Move in. Marcus, we've only known each other 4 months. And? He smiled. I love you, Zara. I think I loved you the moment you glared at me in that airport. Her breath caught. You can't just... I can. I do. He rolled, pinning her beneath him, his expression intense. You're the first real thing I've had in years. Don't make me wait. She should have said no. Should have been cautious, careful, smart. She moved in the following week. For a while, it was perfect. Marcus traveled frequently, but when he was home, he was entirely present. He cooked for her, badly, but with enthusiasm. He asked about her day, celebrated her wins, held her through the losses. He made her laugh, made her feel safe. And the sex was incredible. He knew exactly how to take her apart, sometimes gentle and worshipful, sometimes rough and demanding. He'd press her against the shower wall, water streaming over them, and make her come so hard she'd see stars. Or he'd spend hours between her thighs, patient and thorough, until she was begging. You're mine, he'd murmur against her skin, and she'd believe it. But there were moments, brief, troubling moments, when she'd catch him staring at nothing, his expression distant and cold. When she'd ask what he was thinking, he'd shake it off with a smile. Nothing important, just work. Always work. The first time she met Gabriel, she knew something was wrong. Marcus had a business meeting at the apartment. She'd planned to work in the bedroom. Stay out of the way. But when she came out for water, she found Marcus and another man in the living room, speaking in low, tense voices. The other man was older, maybe 50, with silver threading through his hair and scars marking his dark skin. He looked up when she entered, his expression sharpening. Who's this? His accent was French, his tone suspicious. Zara, my girlfriend. Marcus stood, positioning himself between them. Zara, this is Gabriel, an old colleague. Colleague. Gabriel's smile didn't reach his eyes. That's one word for it. The tension in the room was suffocating. Zara grabbed her water and retreated, but not before catching the tail end of their conversation. Too risky. Kinshasa shipment. If they trace it back. She stood in the bedroom, heart pounding, ice spreading through her chest. That night when Marcus came to bed, she asked, "What does Gabriel do?" "Logistics." Marcus's voice was carefully neutral. "What kind of logistics requires talking about Kinshasa shipments at midnight?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "It's complicated. Try me." "Zara." He rolled to face her, his expression serious. "There are parts of my work I can't talk about, not because I don't trust you, but because it's safer for you not to know." "Safer?" "Yes." He touched her face. "Please, trust me." She wanted to push, wanted to demand answers, but she was in love with him, and love made you stupid. "Okay," she whispered. It was a mistake. Everything fell apart on a Tuesday. Marcus had left for business in Maputo 2 days earlier. Zara was working from the apartment when his phone, a second phone she'd never seen before, started buzzing on the kitchen counter. He had left it behind. She shouldn't have looked. She knew that. She looked anyway. The messages were in code, mostly. But some were clear enough. "Your brother." Zara's hands shook. Marcus had told her he was an only child, had told her his parents died when he was young, had told her he had no family. She started searching. In the back of his closet, hidden behind suit jackets, she found a locked briefcase. It took her 20 minutes and a bobby pin to get it open. Inside, passports, 3 of them, all with Marcus's photo but different names, cash in multiple currencies, and a flash drive. She plugged it into her laptop with trembling hands. Files opened, documents, shipping manifests, photographs of weapons, rifles, handguns, ammunition, transaction records showing millions of dollars moving through shell companies, and intelligence reports from governments across Africa, all marked classified. And then she found the photos. Marcus, younger, in military fatigues, Marcus with a rifle, Marcus standing next to a man who looked just like him. Same eyes, same bone structure, both of them smiling in front of what looked like a war zone. The final document was a death certificate. The room spun. She was going to be sick. He was supposed to be dead. Officially dead. Which meant whoever she'd been living with for 6 months was either a ghost or... The apartment door opened. "Zara." Marcus's voice echoed from the entryway. She barely had time to close the laptop before he appeared in the bedroom doorway. He stopped when he saw her face, saw the open briefcase, saw the passport scattered across the bed. For one long moment, neither of them moved. "I can explain," he said finally. "Can you?" Her voice was shaking. "Because according to this, you died 4 years ago." He closed his eyes. "Zara, who are you?" She stood, backing away. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Marcus. That part is true." "What parts aren't?" He moved into the room slowly, hands visible, like he was approaching something dangerous. Maybe he was. "My real name is Marcus Okello. Dubois was my mother's maiden name. I used it for... work." "Work? You mean arms dealing?" He didn't deny it. "Yes." The confirmation was somehow worse than the suspicion. Zara felt her legs go weak. "I faked my death to get out," Marcus continued, his voice low. "I was military, then private security, then... It got complicated. I wanted out, but people don't just leave that world. So I died." "And Gabriel?" "My former commander. He helped arrange it, in exchange for occasional consultation." "Consultation," she laughed, a broken sound. "Is that what we're calling trafficking weapons?" "I don't traffic weapons anymore. Not really. I just..." He stopped, jaw tightening. "I facilitate. Information mostly. Connections. I stay clean enough to stay alive." "And me?" Her voice cracked. "What was I? Cover? A fun distraction?" "No." He moved toward her and she saw something raw flash across his face. "No, Zara, you are. The first real thing I've had since I died. The first person who knew me without the blood on my hands. I kept it from you because I couldn't lose you." "By lying to me?" "Yes." His voice was fierce. "By lying, by hiding, by being a coward, because loving you was the first selfish thing I've done in a decade, and I wanted to keep it." Tears were streaming down her face now. "I don't even know you." "You do. Everything between us was real. The only lie was what I did before you." Before me? She gestured at the laptop. You're still doing it. These files are dated last month. His expression shuddered. It's not that simple. Then make it simple. I can't just walk away. Gabriel and the others, they know too much. If I disappear again, they'll assume I'm cooperating with authorities. They'll eliminate loose ends. And you... His voice broke. You're a loose end now, too. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Zara should have left, should have called the police, her family, anyone. Instead, she sat on the bathroom floor, door locked, while Marcus remained on the other side. Zara, his voice was rough, please, let me in. Why should I? Because I love you, because I'm terrified, because I don't know how to fix this, but I need to try. She opened the door. He looked wrecked, shirt wrinkled, hair disheveled, eyes red. He sank down beside her on the tile floor, not touching her, just sitting in the wreckage of what they'd built. Tell me everything, she said, the truth this time. So he did. He told her about growing up in Uganda, about joining the military at 18, about being recruited into private security. He told her about the things he'd done, the people he'd hurt, the blood that stained his hands. He told her about his brother, who died in a raid gone wrong, about faking his death to escape, about Gabriel, who still called in favors. I thought I could build a new life, he said quietly. Thought I could be someone different. Then I met you, and for the first time, I actually believed it was possible. Zara's chest ached. I can't do this, Marcus. I can't love someone who... I know. He looked at her and she saw her own heartbreak reflected in his eyes. I know you can't. I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking for one thing. What? Let me protect you. Gabriel knows about you now. If you leave, if you talk, he'll see you as a threat. So let me get you out safely, and then I'll disappear. You'll never see me again. Marcus, please, Zara, let me do this one good thing. Gabriel came to the apartment without warning. Zara was packing when he appeared in the doorway, flanked by 2 armed men. Marcus stepped between them immediately. She's not part of this, Marcus said, his voice deadly calm. She is now. Gabriel's gaze slid to Zara, cold and assessing. Your girlfriend has seen too much. That makes her a liability. I'll handle it. How? She leaves. She talks, even accidentally. You know how this works. She won't talk. You willing to bet your life on that? Because I'm not. Gabriel smiled, and it was the most frightening thing Zara had ever seen. Here's what's going to happen. There's a shipment coming through Durban next week. High value. The client is nervous, wants extra security. You're going to oversee it personally. No. Yes? And she's going with you. Gabriel nodded toward Zara. Insurance. She stays close, you stay motivated, everyone wins. Gabriel. Non-negotiable. You're in this, Marcus. You've always been in this, and now, so is she. After he left, Zara couldn't stop shaking. We have to run, she said. Now, right now. We can't. He'll find us. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. What are we going to do? He looked at her for a long moment. Then, we're going to finish this, one last job, and then I'm burning it all down. The Durban operation was supposed to be simple. Oversee a shipment transfer, ensure payment, leave. But nothing about this life was ever simple. Zara stayed in the car while Marcus and Gabriel's men checked the containers at the port. She watched through the window, heart racing, as they moved between shipping crates like shadows. Then, she saw the lights. Police lights. Fuck! She grabbed Marcus's phone, dialing frantically. He answered on the first ring. What? Police! Coming in fast! You need to get out! She heard shouting through the phone. Gunfire. Then the line went dead. Zara's training as an engineer kicked in. Assess, analyze, solve. She couldn't call the police. That would get Marcus killed or arrested. She couldn't run. Gabriel would hunt her down. She needed leverage, the flash drive. She still had it. She drove back to the apartment at dangerous speeds, grabbed the drive, and called the one person who might help, Marcus's dead brother. It took 3 calls to different numbers before someone answered. Who is this? The voice sounded exactly like Marcus. "My name is Zara. I was involved with Marcus. He's in trouble." A long pause. "I'm listening." Marcus showed up at the apartment covered in blood, none of it his, with 3 hours before Gabriel's men would realize he'd slipped away. "We have to go," he said immediately. "I know." Zara grabbed her laptop. "I have everything, the files, the evidence, and I called your brother." He froze. "You what?" "He's alive, Marcus, and he says he can help." "Zara, my brother is the reason I faked my death. He's not—" Marcus stopped, understanding dawning. "What did you promise him?" "The files, in exchange for getting us out and putting Gabriel away." "No." He grabbed her shoulders. "No, Zara. My brother works for intelligence, multiple agencies. He'll use this to destroy Gabriel's entire network, which means everyone Gabriel works with will be hunting us. We'll never be safe." "We're not safe now. At least now I can control." "You can't control this." She pushed him away. "You never could. That's been the problem from the start. You tried to control your old life and your new life and me and this whole fucking mess, and look where we are." He stared at her, breathing hard. "I made the call," she said more quietly. "Your brother's meeting us in 2 hours. You can come with me or you can run. But I'm done being protected from the truth." For a long moment she thought he'd leave. Then, "Together?" "Together." He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "I love you. Even if you hate me, I love you." "I don't hate you." She closed her eyes, memorizing the feel of him. "I just wish you'd trusted me enough to let me choose this with you instead of for me." "I know. I'm sorry." Marcus's brother, Thomas, looked exactly like him but harder, military precision in every movement, scars mapping his face and arms. He studied them both across a steel table in a nondescript safe house outside Johannesburg. "You fucked up, little brother." "I know," Marcus said. "And you." Thomas turned to Zara. "You love this idiot?" "Unfortunately." A smile ghosted across his face. "Good. That'll keep you both alive. Love makes you careful." He tapped the flash drive she'd given him. "This is enough to dismantle Gabriel's operation and trace it back to his government sponsors. It's also enough to get you both killed 100 times over." "What do we do?" Zara asked. "You disappear. Properly this time. New identities, new country, new lives. I can arrange it, but you don't come back. Not ever, you understand. No contact with family, no using your old skills, nothing that could flag surveillance systems." Zara's stomach dropped. "My company, my team in Lagos. Gone. You have to let it all go." "That's not—" "I built that. It's mine." "It's not worth your life." Thomas's voice was firm. "Gabriel's network spans 14 countries. If they find you, they'll torture you for information, then kill you both slowly. Is your company worth that?" She looked at Marcus. He wasn't pushing, wasn't demanding, just watching her with devastated eyes. "If we do this," she said slowly, "we do it together. Equal partners. No more secrets, no more protecting me from the truth. I know everything, or I walk right now." Thomas glanced at Marcus. "She's tough. I like her." "She's everything," Marcus said quietly. The operation moved quickly. Thomas's team extracted them from Johannesburg under cover of night. Gabriel was arrested on an anonymous tip, the flash drive's evidence delivered to 5 different intelligence agencies simultaneously. Zara watched the news reports from a safe house in Botswana, seeing her old life disappear on the screen. Her company would continue without her. Thomas had arranged a quiet transfer of ownership to her deputy. Her family would think she'd taken a sudden job opportunity abroad. Clean break, total erasure. "You okay?" Marcus asked, finding her staring out the window. "No." She turned to face him. "I'm terrified. I'm furious. I'm grieving. But I'm here." He pulled her close. "We can still change our minds. You could go back. Thomas would protect you." "Without you?" "If that's what you need." She studied his face, the man she'd fallen for and the soldier underneath, all visible now. No more masks. "That's not what I need." "What do you need?" "Time, truth, and you." She touched his chest, feeling his heartbeat. "In that order. I need time to forgive you for lying. I need you to keep telling me the truth, even when it's ugly." And I need you to understand that I'm not fragile. I'm not someone you protect. I'm someone you stand beside. I can do that." His voice was rough with emotion. "I'll spend the rest of my life doing that." The town didn't have a name Zara could pronounce. It was small, coastal, the kind of place where tourists passed through but nobody stayed. Perfect for ghosts. They lived in a house overlooking the water, modest, colorful, nothing like the luxury Marcus used to inhabit. He worked on fishing boats now, coming home smelling like salt and sun. She'd started consulting remotely under a pseudonym, helping small businesses with tech infrastructure. It wasn't the life she'd planned, but it was real. One evening, she found him on the beach, staring at the sunset with that distant expression he still got sometimes. "You thinking about before?" she asked, sitting beside him. "Sometimes, wondering if anyone's looking for us still. Thomas said we're clear. Gabriel took the deal, gave up his network. We're buried so deep no one will find us." "I know, but I still—" He stopped, shook his head. "I don't regret leaving. I regret what I took from you." Zara took his hand, lacing their fingers together. "You didn't take anything. I chose. Maybe not how I wanted to choose, but I did. Do you miss it? Your company, your life?" "Every day." She was honest. They'd promised that to each other. "But I'm building something new here. Slower, smaller, but mine. And I have you." "Still?" "Still," she smiled. "Even when you're being broody and dramatic about the past." He laughed, the sound lighter than she'd heard in weeks. "I'll work on that. Please do. Brooding only works when you're shirtless." "Is that right?" He pulled her into his lap, his hands warm on her waist. "I'll keep that in mind." When he kissed her, it was different from those early days in Cape Town. No desperation, no hiding. Just two people who'd walked through fire and chosen to stay. Later, in their bed with moonlight streaming through the windows, he traced patterns on her shoulder blade. "I love you," he murmured, "even though I've got no right to." "You've got every right." She turned to face him. "You fought for it. We both did. What do we do now?" "Now?" She smiled. "We live, we build something that's ours, and we stop running from ghosts. Together. Together." Outside, waves crashed against the shore. Inside, two people who'd lost everything began again, building a life from wreckage and truth and love that refused to die. Zara was pregnant. They found out on a Tuesday. Fitting, since Tuesdays had become their day for endings and beginnings. Marcus cried when she told him, holding her so carefully like she might break. "We're going to be okay," she whispered. "All three of us." "You're sure?" "I'm sure." She pulled back to look at him. "We survived, Gabriel. We survived starting over. We can survive this. I want to be good at it, being a father. You will be. Because you'll tell our kid the truth, even when it's hard. And you'll teach them that love isn't about control. It's about choosing someone every single day, even when it costs everything." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her mouth. "I choose you, every day, forever." "Good," she grinned, "because you're stuck with me now." In the small coastal town with no name, in a house overlooking the water, two ghosts built a future. Not perfect, not without scars, but theirs. And that was enough.